Adat, Jawi, is the generic term derived from Arabic language for describing a variety of local customary practices and tradition as observed by Muslim communitites in North Caucasus, Central Asia and Southeast Asia. Despite its Arabic origin, the term Adat resonates deeply throughout the Maritime Southeast Asia, where, due to colonial influence, its usage has been systematically institutionalized into various non-Muslim communities within the region. The term refers, in a broader sense, to the customary norms, rules, interdictions, and injunctions that guide individuals' conduct as a member of the community, and the sanctions and forms of address by which these norms and rules are upheld. Adat also include the set of local and traditional laws and dispute resolution systems by which society was regulated. Origin: the word Adat is derived from the Arabic word adati, the plural form of adah, meaning custom or habit, and is considered as synonymous with urf, something which is commonly known or accepted. It generally refers to the result of long-standing convention, either deliberately adopted or the result of unconscious adaptation to circumstances, that has been followed where practical considerations have been uppermost. Prior to the arrival of Islam, the peoples of North Caucasus and Central Asia had long established codes of legal and civil law, which in the Islamic period came to be known by the term Adat. Adat in traditional Central Asian societies are guided by authoritative members of communities, usually councils of axakals. It is based on a tribal code of conduct and on centuries of experience in conflict resolution between individuals, communities, and tribes. In North Caucasus, the traditional value codex of Adat held that the Tip clan was the chief reference for a loyalty, honor, shame and collective responsibility. The Russian Empire's colonial administration did not interfere with local legal practices and delegated the administration at the local community level to the councils of axakals and tips. So did the Bolsheviks during the first years of the revolution of 1917. The Adat was practiced among the Central Asians and North Caucasians up until the early 1930s, before Soviet authorities banned its use and replaced it with the civil law. In Southeast Asia, the concept of Adat and its meanings were first formulated in the Islamized Malay-speaking world, apparently to distinguish non-Islamic from Islamic practices. In the 15th century, the Malacca Empire developed a code of international shipping law, Undang-Undang Laut Malacca, and a civil and commercial code, Undang-Undang Malacca, which was heavily Islamic but with extensive Adat influences. These codes would later spread across the region and became the legal source for local jurisprudence in major regional sultanates like Brunei, Johor, Patani and Aceh. In the early decades of the 20th century, in the Dutch East Indies, the study of Adat emerged as a specialized field of inquiry. Although associated with the needs of colonial administration, this study nevertheless gave rise to an active scholarly discipline that dealt with differing systems of Adat comparatively. Among notable scholars in this study were Van Vollenhoven, Terhaar and Snoek-Hergrenier. Several key concepts that are still being used today within the customary law research in modern Indonesia are Adatrecht, Adat law, Adatrechtsgringen, Adat law circles, Beschikingsrecht, communal rights over land or right to avail, and Adatrechtsgemeenschapppen, Adat law communities. The Adat law or Adatrecht has been used by colonial government as a legal term designating a prescriptive right, which was given currency as an independent legal entity apart from the canon law. Local indigenous laws and customs of all ethnic groups, including those of non-Muslims, began to be collectively termed as Adat, and were encoded into units of jural management, whereby legal pluralism in East Indies was introduced. Under this scheme, based on a classification of Adat systems as cultural geographic units, the Dutch divided the East Indies into at least 19 Adat law areas. Modern usage. Adat is still enforced in the courts of Brunei, Malaysia and Indonesia as personal law in certain aspects. In Malaysia, each state's constitution empowered Malay rulers as the head of Islam and Malay customs in their respective state. State councils known as Majlis Agama Islam dan Adat Istiadat Melayu, Council of Islam and Malay Customs, are responsible in advising the rulers as well as regulating both Islamic affairs and Adat legal proceedings on matters related to Islamic affairs and Adat, such as harta sepengkarian or matrimonial property cases, are carried out in Syariah court. In Sarawak and Sabah, native Adat laws of non-Malay indigenous communities were institutionalized through the establishment of courts known as Mahkamah Bumiputera, Bumiputra courts, and Mahkamah Anak Negeri, native courts, respectively. A parallel system exists in the Peninsular Malaysia for ethnic Malays, called Mahkamah Penggulu, Penggulu's courts Mukam Headman courts, but with very limited jurisdiction. In Indonesia, Adat rules are still of legal relevance in some areas, especially in most Hindu villages in Bali, the Tengah area and in the region of Yogyakarta and Surakarta. Following the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Adat practices in Central Asia began to resurrect in the 1990s among communities in rural areas. This was largely due to a decay of legal and law enforcement institutions in many parts of the region. The Constitution also contributed to this process, since it empowered some traditional institutions such as councils of elders, aksakals, with some administrative authorities. In North Caucasus, traditional, clan-based systems of self-government, which had been functioning underground since the 1950s, began to reappear in response to the federal government's neglect and the local administration's impotence. Because of loss of Islamic scholars and literature during the Stalinist years, the Adat that emerged contained almost no elements of Islamic law. However, there are a growing number of participation of Muslim scholars in Adat proceedings, who are now involved in most important decisions in village assemblies and district administrations. Malay culture. In the Malay states of Southeast Asia, the Malay community may be classified formally and historically into two different groups, one following Adat Temenggung and the other Adat Pepati. Adat Temenggung, customs or rules of Temenggung, is the most common form of Adat, which is patrilineal and more pervasive, and it can be found in majority of Malay states. Adat Pepati confined almost exclusively to Negeri Sembilan, where dwell the descendants of the Minangkabau immigrants from West Sumatra, is associated with a matrilineal rule of descent and a political structure based upon the kinship system. Though both Adat originated from tribal organizations in the past, it is in Adat Pepati that the remnants of tribal structure are clearly evident at present. To cite one instance, marriage between two persons belonging to the same clan is regarded as incestuous and is strictly prohibited. The major concern with Adat, both Temenggung and Pepati in the research and literature, has been with so-called Adat law, or the definition of rights to property, rank and other privileges in traditional Malay society. Studies of Adat law have chiefly been preoccupied with the questions of its relationship to Islamic law, Sharia law, and the legal cases to which such conflicts have given rise. In Malay culture, there are at least 5 different perspectives of Adat. Adatullah, the absolute form of Adat, which refers to natural order created by Allah. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Adatullah may also refers to any practice that is almost absolutely based on Ahkam rules of Islam, like the concept of musyawarah, discussion, and muafakat, Consensus. Applied in the Malay kingship system. Adat muhakama. The term refers to traditional laws, commandments and orders, compiled into legal codes by rulers to maintain social order and harmony. The Adat laws, often blended together with Islamic laws, were the main written legal reference for Malay societies since the classical era and commonly referred as canon. The earliest example of Adat muhakama is Terengganu inscription stone, 1303. That contains a proclamation issued by Sri Paji Ketuan of Terengganu, urging his subjects to extend and uphold Islam and providing 10 basic laws for their guidance. Other notable Malay legal codes are Hukum Canon Malacca, Laws of Malacca, Hukum Canon Pahang, Laws of Pahang, Undang-Undang Sembilan Puluh Sembilan, 99 Laws of Perak, Hukum Canon Brunei, Laws of Brunei, and many others. Adat Una, also commonly known as Risam, norms. Adat Una is a form of Adat derived from social norms that are perceived as having good moral values and beneficial and do not go against either Adatella or Adat muhakama. Among the examples are Gotong Royong, organizing Rumah Terbuka, a form of social event traditionally held at home during festive seasons, where well-wishes are received and that everyone, regardless of background, is invited to attend, and learning of Malay martial art. Silat. Adat Istiadat. Defined as rituals, mainly performed in festive celebrations and formal ceremonies like the installation of Malay rulers. The purpose of these rituals is to prescribe proper etiquette, with the means of glorifying the celebrations and ceremonies. Adat Jahiliyah refers to Adat Istiadat, rituals, practices derived from pre-Islamic elements that are against the teachings of Islam. Although Islam has been deeply rooted in the life of Malay society for hundreds of years, many practices of Adat Jahiliyah prevailed. However, there were continuous efforts by ulama and community leaders to promote the discontinuity of such Adat Jahiliyah practices as Perayaan Mandi Safar, Safar Bath Festival, Tepung Tawar, plain flower ritual, when one enters a new house, and the worshipping of Keramat shrines. See also. URF. Bibliography. Obaziv, Rafis. 2005. Historical Dictionary of Turkmenistan, Historical Dictionaries of Asia, Oceania, and the Middle East. Scarecrow Press. ISBN 978-0810853621. Abdul Ghaffar Muhaimin. 2011. The Islamic Traditions of Cirebon. Adat and Adat among Javanese Muslims. Australian National University e-Press. ISBN 978-1-92094230-4. Amine, Mehdi Parvizi. 2010. State, Society and International Relations in Asia. Amsterdam University Press. ISBN 978-90-5356-794-4. Buxbaum, David C. 1968. Family Law and Customary Law in Asia. A Contemporary Legal Perspective. Springer. ISBN 978-90-247-0348-7. Cohen-Moore, Dahlia. 2001. A Matter of Fate. The concept of fate in the Arab world as reflected in modern Arabic literature. Oxford University Press. Asin B0001AU68DW. Forzia, Emilia. 2013. Faith and the State. A History of Islamic Philanthropy in Indonesia. Brill. ISBN 978-90-04-23397-3. Hauser Schaublin, Brigitta. 2013. Adat and Indigeneity in Indonesia, Culture and Entitlements Between Heteronomy and Self-Ascription. Göttingen University Press. ISBN 978-3-86395-132-0. Keane, Webb. 1997. Signs of Recognition. Powers and Hazards of Representation in an Indonesian Society. University of California Press. Asin B003WOKXPS. Muhammad Ismail. 2013. Adat Melayu. Malay Adat. Persatuan Ilmuwan Melayu Malaysia. Association of Malaysian Malay Scholars. Nagata. Judith Ann. 1974. Adat in the City. Some Perceptions and Practices Among Urban Malays. By Dragantot et al. Landenvolkenkind. Oi. Keat Jin. 2004. Southeast Asia. A Historical Encyclopedia. From Angkor Wat to East Timor. ABC Clio. ISBN 1-57607-770-5. Pellets. Michael Gates. 1992. A Share of the Harvest. Kinship, Property and Social History Among the Malays of Rembau. University of California Press. ISBN 978-0-520-08086-7. Richmond. Walter Cummins. 2004. Legal Pluralism in the Northwest Caucasus. The Role of Sharia Courts. Carfax Publishing. Tengku Anua bin Tengku Dalam. 1997. ASAs Kenegaraan Malaysia. The Principles of Malaysia's Nationhood. Al-Azim Press. ISBN 978-983-038-038-4. Singh. Anna Lowenhaupt. Abraham. Itti. 2009. Words in Motion. Toward a Global Lexicon. Duke University Press Books. Asin BOOEHNZP70. Zurcher. Christoph. 2007. The Post-Soviet Wars, Rebellion, Ethnic Conflict, and Nationhood in the Caucasus. NYU Press. ISBN 978-08147-9709-9. Paper on Adat.